Ahead on Q2, from Airbnbs to single-family rental homes, the city of Billings putting out a warning to short-term property owners. We'll tell you why. Plus, lights, camera, but no action.
It's surprising how big the film community here is in Montana.
The jobs of hundreds of Montana film workers could now be in jeopardy. We'll tell you why. And a super scorekeeper.
I've always followed basketball statistics, and
from points to rebounds to blocks, one man has been a staple on the Columbus sidelines for more than 3 decades. The MTN 430 News starts right now. Well, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on this Monday. I'm Russ Riesinger. A 47-year-old man is dead and 3 others are injured after a 2-vehicle crash on Highway 87 North. That crash happened Saturday evening around 6, where Crooked Creek Road intersects with the highway near Shepherd. Now, according to Montana Highway Patrol, the 47-year-old is from Billings, was driving a Subaru Legacy on Crooked Creek Road when he failed to yield. Upon entering the highway, the car was struck by a northbound Chevrolet Silverado, with both vehicles ending up in the ditch. The man, whose name has not been released, died before arriving at the hospital, while 3 people in the other truck were injured in the accident. It's unknown how serious those injuries are. The Highway Patrol says all occupants were wearing seat belts, but speed is a suspected factor in the crash. The city of Billings is warning short-term rental owners to pay up before the Code Enforcement Division takes action. City officials are preparing to send courtesy letters to any short-term rental owners that have a property not in compliance with city code. According to the city, a short-term rental permit and city business license are required to operate residential rentals such as Airbnbs that offer stays of less than 30 days. As of now, more than 300 properties are in violation. A city business license for first-time rentals currently costs $55, with the short-term rental permit costing $300. Both need to be renewed annually. The letters are scheduled to go out March 10th, with property owners then having 60 days to come into compliance. If an owner fails to renew their permits, they are subject to civil penalties, such as fines.
Here's just a sample of some of the winds that were recorded today. You see, especially in the pink shaded ones where we've had over 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Gallatin Gateway, an 88-mile-per-hour wind gust recorded earlier. So we've still got more wind in the forecast, and some of that pushing across the eastern plains. Not as strong, but it's going to have some impacts for us, along with a few showers overnight heading into tomorrow. That's going to be our best chance of getting any moisture on the ground here in the short term, but the moisture on the ground still having its impacts with those warmer temperatures, which means we'll see additional melting here in the coming days. We'll sort out all the details on the forecast for a while and show you the next time we can expect some cooler and wetter weather with the 7-day forecast.
Today marks 3 years since Russia invaded Ukraine, setting off a deadly and costly war. European and world leaders are showing support in Ukraine's capital today, while U.S. policies on Russia and Ukraine have changed under President Donald Trump. Erica Brown has the latest from the White House.
President Trump says he will soon be meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
I will be meeting with President Zelensky. In fact, he may come in this week or next week to sign the agreement.
The Trump administration has been pushing Ukraine to grant the U.S. access to deposits of rare earth minerals. Ukraine has one of the world's largest deposits of graphite and lithium, which are used to make batteries for electric vehicles, as well as titanium. Trump says a deal would help pay back billions the U.S. has spent supplying weapons for the war.
We're, I think, getting very close to getting an agreement where we get our money back over a period of time.
While more than a dozen Western leaders gathered in Kyiv Monday to show their support for Ukraine, French President Emmanuel Macron looked to make that case with Trump at the White House.
We do share the objective of peace, but we are very aware of the necessity to have guarantees and solid peace in order to stabilize the situation.
In the Oval Office, President Trump said he's also considering new economic ties between the U.S. and Russia.
The U.S. put severe economic sanctions on Russia for its attack on Ukraine, and new trade agreements could include some relief.
They have very valuable things that we could use, and we have things that they could use, and it would be very good if we could do that, I think it would be a very good thing for world peace and lasting peace.
Signaling the shifting policy towards Russia, the U.S. voted against the United Nations resolution Monday condemning Russian aggression in Ukraine. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
The AFL-CIO is suing the federal government over an email sent to federal employees over the weekend, asking them to submit 5 things they did last week or risk being fired. The directive sent to 2 million government employees has sparked confusion and pushback, but has been defended by President Trump. The deadline to respond is midnight, with presidential advisor Elon Musk saying failure to submit a list will be taken as a resignation. A number of agencies, including the FBI and the State Department, told staff not to respond, with the Pentagon also refusing to take part. This comes as thousands of staffers with USAID are now officially on administrative leave after a judge lifted a block on the Trump administration's plan. Montana's film industry could be in danger. As of now, hundreds of Montanans work on a variety of other productions besides that hit TV show Yellowstone. But now some of those could be in jeopardy. MTN's Cassidy Powers explains why.
Lights, camera, action. That's a phrase that when most people hear, they think Hollywood. But did you know here in Montana, we actually have hundreds of people that work in the film industry, but currently they're in jeopardy of losing their jobs and being displaced.
The last movie I worked on was called Needleman, written and directed by a guy who's born and raised in Gallatin Gateway. It's surprising how big the film community here is in Montana.
If you ever have questions about Montana's film industry, Mallory Regan is the person to talk to. She moved to Bozeman 10 years ago to be a wedding photographer until
a friend of mine approached me and said, if you're crazy enough to like weddings, you might be crazy enough to want to work on movies with us.
Now she's the owner of 40 Watt, a Bozeman-based production company. Mallory's worked on a number of film sets around Montana, mostly taking on producing roles.
I have worked on movies that have a budget of like $3.5 million or more, where everything is coming from Montana. So that's all of the technicians, the camera people, the lighting people.
By keeping productions local, that money gets filtered back into Montana's economy. In fact, according to the Montana legislature, in the last 2 years, film production in Montana has brought in over $312 million to local economies statewide. But this industry is in jeopardy.
When a production comes to Montana, the money that gets spent here stays here, right? When they're bringing crews in from out of state, they're spending money that's going to leave when they leave.
In 2019, the Montana legislature passed the Media Act to provide an income tax incentive applicable to any media production, including those coming in from out of state.
Tell the world what happens when they call.
Which has been successful, but maybe a little too successful.
Because of the success and the huge amount of productions that have come through, we're actually out of tax credits till 2029. So we're in this place where we have hundreds of Montana filmmakers who are looking at getting displaced.
Lynn Wood is the executive director of the Montana Media Coalition, who created the Media Act. She tells me here in Montana, there's been 167 productions over the last year and a half. But it's been the few large productions, such as Yellowstone, who bring in the out-of-state crews and dry up the tax credits. The result for our local crews?
We're looking at about $75 million of lost wages for Montana. We pretty much will lose our industry in the state potentially.
So what is being done?
And so in 2025, we want to amend it. We want to reserve 60% for Montana businesses and productions
to help keep the film industry in Montana alive.
We want this to be for Montana filmmakers telling Montana stories. So by Montana for Montana.
Because if this bill is passed, it would not only save thousands in economic revenue, but hundreds of workers from being displaced.
To see those people be out of work or have to leave or have to, choose a different career is heartbreaking. So, yeah, I want the money to stay in Montana, but more importantly, I want the people to stay.
For more information on this new film tax incentive, visit our website. In Bozeman, Cassidy Powers, MTN News.
Super Seniors is sponsored by Master Lube.
Well, I've had a chance to meet some really neat people since we started our Super Senior segment here on Q2. It recognizes our seasoned citizens who are making a difference in their community. Time to meet this week's Super Senior, who definitely knows the score in Columbus.
On any night when the Columbus Cougars are on the court battling, you'll find Ennis Garrity courtside, pen in hand, keeping score.
I've always followed basketball statistics, and
Ennis has been the school's basketball scorekeeper for the past 33 years. A lot of great moments and memories.
Absolutely. Yep. you see at least two generations of kids coming through.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is very cool.
Hundreds of games over the years, and Ennis can always be counted on to be right there.
He's been a fixture for us, in all our home games, all our away games.
It was the Stillwater mine that brought Dr. Ennis Garrity to Columbus. He spent decades as the chief geologist at the mine and still has an interest in geology and science.
Still do trips down in the Beartooth and around the mine for geology groups and that sort of thing. I help at the Museum of the Beartooth. Also, I'm the weatherman here in Columbus for the National Weather Service.
Ennis grew up in New York State, but says it didn't take long for Columbus to feel like home. A super senior making a difference in his community.
This is a great place. Columbus is a great town. And we saw it immediately when we came up here. They were extremely friendly to us right off the get-go, 30 some odd years ago. And we just knew it was it's a wonderful place to bring kids up. It still is.
Oh, he's a part of our family, definitely at this. So, yeah, it's nice to have somebody that, has been with us for this long and still willing to come to all the games with us. So, yeah, it's been great.
And remember, if you'd like to nominate someone for this segment, you can do so by clicking on the Super Seniors tab. It's right there at the top of our website, ktvq.com.